All right. Does it say recording on your end?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to my podcast, Transcend. I'm Jami Christine. I'm a spiritual life coach, author, and entrepreneur. And today I am chatting with Linda Thiele. Hi. She is a Reiki practitioner and an angel. She does angel readings and healings. And I am super excited. We both are super excited to talk about angels today. This has been an important topic, an exciting topic for Linda for a while. For me, it's brand new. So I just figured I'd give you a little bit of a backstory on how this kind of came to be for me. And then we're going to jump into chatting and hear Linda's story. So it's funny, Linda and I both go to the Southwest Institute of Healing Arts on the online course. And so that's located in Arizona, but I'm over here in the Midwest. Linda, where are you from?
California.
California. All right. Love technology, bringing us all together. Exactly. The school's been awesome. And we were both in an angel readings class or an angel guidance class. And I've never really been drawn to angels, mostly because I kind of had a more or less negative experience with religion whenever I was younger. I was raised Catholic, and it just, I don't know, as I grew older, it didn't really resonate with me. And actually, over half of my lifetime ago, I left the church and decided I am nothing and I didn't want anything to do with it anymore. And I always associated angels with like a religious connotation. And when I met Linda, when we traded in this angel readings class, or actually it was an intuitive guidance class leading up to angel guidance. So yeah, we hadn't even gotten into that class yet. So we traded for intuitive guidance. And this was the first time I really got introduced to angels from a different perspective. And it was just, I'm just so excited to talk to you, Linda, because you really did like open my mind to like angels aren't like a religious thing. No. It is, they're an energy present with us. I'm gonna let you explain it because you explained it to me so well. That they're here to help us, and we have to interact with them. We have to ask them for their help. And I thought that was really cool how they don't interfere with our free will. We have to call upon them, and they are more than ready and excited and eager to help us with anything we need in our lives. And then I started experiencing that firsthand after you and I had that reading, and you explained them to me on that level. And also too, that a sign that our angels are present with us when you see like repeating patterns and synchronicities and different things like that. And of course, after our session together, I saw synchronicities and repeating patterns everywhere. It was crazy. And of course, we jumped into the Angels and Guides class right after the class that you and I were in together. So I'm like, they're everywhere. All kinds of really amazing things are happening in my life at that time and continue to, especially when I put conscious effort into calling upon them. So it's just been this constant like snowball effect of synchronicities and crazy coincidences.
I love it.
I've continued to learn more about the angels through not only that class, but like coincidentally, I keep coming across people who do different YouTube videos or like YouTube people who talk about them, and just, it's been such a cool adventure in a few short months. So that's my backstory on angels. And thank you so much for introducing me to that wonderful world.
My favorite.
So tell me more, like, how did they come to be your favorite? Tell me your backstory.
Well, I started on my journey about like 5-6 years ago, and just slowly just reading about them, and just really I always saw 1111. In fact, when I was little,
me too.
It was like, make a wish, because that was the thing that was associated with it.
Yes.
But when that's like, hi, wake up. You have something to do. Let's go. And as I started on my journey and reading and being introduced to different places and things, everything started popping up. And I'm like, and I would start finding feathers. And I mean, you could find feathers anywhere. I mean, I would find them. I've even walked out of my parking structure and have had them right in front of my passenger door and be like, I'm sorry, what? Like, it's the parking structure. And normally I'm just like, thank you, but I mean, I've had real experiences, like almost being in car accidents and watching cars move out of the way, just different things. And so just really dove in and started taking classes wherever I can find them, and getting oracle cards and learning how to read and really connect with them, and even connecting with my own, because we all have guardian angels.
Yeah. And I think that's probably what a lot of people know them as. Like, yeah, that's probably a common understanding.
There's different levels of angels, so we have our guardian angels and we have our seraphims, and there's the ministry of angels and our archangels. And what's really fascinating is because, like you said, they always are kind of associated with religion, but it's not. It really isn't. And I think that's what, because, I also pulled away from church and have had some bad religious experiences and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I've never felt closer to spirit than when I'm doing this, so it's just a whole nother, like, I'm more of like a spiritual individualist.
I love that. Yeah.
I read it one time and I was like, that's it. I love all things,
Yeah.
and I like to be able to utilize what we can from wherever we're at, it doesn't have to be one way. And so with angels, there's so many different things to do with them that I just started like learning how to heal with them more, even calling upon them when I was nervous or uneasy. But the thing is, we have that contract where we have free will, and even, as a religion, you're taught little, free will, God doesn't take anything from you. Well, that's the same thing. With angels, it's free will. We have to call upon them if we want to utilize what they're guiding us to do. So, it's through numbers. It's, you get in the car and you hear your favorite song. That's them saying, hey, you're okay. We got you. We're behind you, and that's my favorite. I'm like, oh, thank you. I needed that so bad.
Yeah, that's how I am with 11s. I'll see it, and not just 1111, but like 11s everywhere. 11 cents will be my change on a receipt, or there'll be a 11 on a license plate in front of me, or there were a couple times where I was going through a drive-through. The car in front of me had an 11 on their their license plate, and 11, their kid must play a sport because their kid's number was 11 on a sticker on the back window. And then I got through and I got 11 cents as change. And I was like, okay, I'm listening.
Awesome. Now, sometimes the thing that is hard to remember, and even I forget sometimes because, you're in through your day, is what were you thinking about?
Yes.
Because that's what they're answering, is trying to remember, what was I just thinking? Because they're telling you. They're reminding you, this is what we're doing. This is how we're doing it. So anybody can Google angel numbers and see what it is. We all have that common number we see all the time.
Yes.
It can be random. It doesn't have to be sequential numbers, 111, 222. Mm-hmm. It can be, 856. I mean, it can be very different numbers.
Yeah, my boyfriend's been seeing 47 everywhere for a while. Okay. So yeah, I was like, well, it's kind of random, but at the same time, it's not for him. Whatever the message is whatever it is.
Yeah, but that's the thing. So there's a message there, and it's just, there's angel number books that you can also look at. But sometimes when I first started, I always used Pinterest. So I would go angel number 47 and see what the meaning was. You know what I mean? So there's different things out there for people, but they're very I know a lot of people have like a bad, thing with them. They think that they're demons or they're this, but they're not. They're almost like cosmic beings in some ways. There's actually even like the constellation Lyra. If you've ever seen it, it looks like a heart, right? Mm-hmm. A lot of like, studies have shown that that's where they come from.
Yes, I remember you telling me that, and that's what really piqued my interest, because I'm a huge believer in, I don't know if you want to call them extraterrestrials or just interdimensional beings, higher dimensional beings. I totally believe we are not alone. And when you described it as that, I was like, okay, I'm in.
It is a whole nother level. You're like, whoa, like, okay. And it's a big rabbit hole. You know what I mean?
Oh gosh, yes. It's a big fun rabbit hole, or a scary rabbit hole, depending on which, direction you take it.
Yeah. But I mean, I utilize, them all day long. Even when I'm driving, like I'm going to go and I need parking and I know it's going to be a bad area. I'll just call upon parking angels. Parking angels, please just have a spot for me. And 9 out of 10 times, bam. If I don't get something, it's like, okay, so something was a lesson that I had to learn, and that's why they can intervene.
Yes, I love that. Because yeah, I feel like, and I've been in that situation before too, where when you don't get what you think you want, it feels like the universe or God or the angels don't actually have your back. And then you start questioning,
Yes.
like, am I believing in a fairy tale here? But yeah,
No.
reality, you know, I've been redirected multiple times throughout my life where earlier on it's like, I didn't want this at all, why did this happen to me, this is terrible, this universe is sadistic and
Yeah.
mean to me. And then it's like I grow from it, and that growth leads me to a place of like this joy and emotional freedom and just so much, I don't know, just so much positivity from it that it's like, oh, that's why
Yeah.
that happened, okay.
Exactly. Kind of like I try to like tell, family, friends, and clients that there's no regrets. It's
Mm-hmm.
only a lesson. It might have been a horrible thing that you went through or very small, but don't let it be a regret. Find the lesson so that you can just fully move on from it as much as possible,
Yes, yes, everything
instead
truly
of,
does happen for a reason.
yeah. Oh, yes, definitely. Good or bad, there's a
Yeah.
reason for it. But, and that's why there is different angels that you can call upon for, like Archangel Azrael, that's for like peaceful passing of somebody, or Ariel, Archangel Ariel, she's great for environment and for healing animals. So like, when you see an animal that's hurt, you can call upon her to send that angel, to be with that person. Kind of like when you see somebody on the side of the road, is just send love and light, angels, please be with them. Sometimes even when I see homeless people, I don't necessarily say, oh, they need shelter, they need this, because I don't know what they need.
Yeah.
Only they know what they need. And so I always ask angels just to kind of be with that person and hear what they need, because it's not my right to tell that person what they need, because they could be happy as pie for all we know.
that and that's a good way to put it too, like we were talking about earlier, the angels won't interfere with our free will.
No. Oh no.
Oh, you got it. Okay, I think I
Yeah.
froze.
I'm
Oh,
not sure.
okay.
I froze or you froze. I was like, oh
It said unstable internet connection, but it didn't say if it was me or you.
no. Okay, yeah, because it just went, you just froze and it didn't say
Yeah.
anything. I don't know
Yikes.
what's going on.
Oh well, I'm back. But yeah, back to the free will thing, like we were saying
Yes.
earlier. The angels won't interfere with our free will, and it's only right that we don't interfere with others' free will. So
Yeah.
we don't know what another person's needs are. We don't know where they are in their journey. So to just
Yeah.
simply send that love and light and, pray that they get whatever it is that they need is
Yeah.
such a great way to,
Yeah,
yeah.
definitely. I mean, there's different ways that you can always call them in, like Archangel Shamuel, she's of love, right? So if you need love in the bedroom kind of thing, bring in a pink rose, just
Yeah.
lay it by your bedside or put it in a vase. I mean, there's so many different ways. There's even crystals that go with each archangel. So you could
Yeah.
wear that crystal during the day, like Archangel Gabriel citrine crystal. And
Okay.
that's, conception, pregnancy. He's great with teachers. He helps you vocalize and great for writing. There's a
Awesome.
prayer that I have that I'll say if I'm trying to write something, just to kind of like invoke him in some way. So there's a lot of different ways that you could utilize how to use them more in your life. And it's just, yeah, I love it. It's been the
Yeah.
best thing. Like, there's even archangels for different zodiac signs. I mean, there's so much
Ah,
out. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. I could talk about the zodiacs all day long.
Yeah. That's so yeah. So there's an archangel that goes with each zodiac sign. So that's
Do
almost
you
like your main.
know? Do you know what they are off the top of your head? Because I would love to like
Yeah,
dabble in that a little bit.
not off the top of my head. I know mine. Mine's Archangel Gabriel because I had researched it for a while, and but I can definitely send you a link so you can see them,
Yeah.
because that's a whole nother thing, because it's almost like we have a numeric number that goes to us, right? A life path number,
Yeah.
things like that. But there's an archangel that goes with us as well.
Oh my
You
gosh, I
know,
didn't know that. That's so cool.
yeah, yeah. So it's awesome when you get to learn these in-depth more things, that you can utilize them day to day throughout your life. When you're not feeling well, and it's Archangel Raphael, he'll bring healing. Sometimes in my sessions for Reiki and angel healings, definitely, I'll bring him in to help assist me with that healing. If I know somebody's sick, then sometimes I'll send his green light to them so that it just encompasses them with his green healing light, because each angel also has a color.
Okay,
Archangel
cool.
blue, Gabriel is yellow. So there's all these different colors that go, like Archangel Metatron, he's the cube. So the Metatron cube. So, but some people don't know that too, that the research shows that he was actually Enoch at one time.
Oh, yeah, I have heard of that, but I don't know much more than that.
Yeah, so there's so many different historic, things about angels and stuff like that, but there's not times when they weren't there.
Yeah.
And they each have a duty, and they each have something they can do for you. And so to bring them in for healing is just a really, you stand them at the 4 pillars, and you have golden light that surrounds you. And it's just such a peaceful, feeling to have come over you,
Yeah. Yeah. I also love that, especially like kind of having separated myself from religion, it is really cool that they show up in so many different religious cultures, not just in like Christianity, but in so many other ways. And they have all like these different similarities to them that it's like, this is the same being that appeared to all these different religious cultures.
Yeah, there is something interchangeable through almost all religions when you think about it. And that's why it got to a point for me, because there was a time I was even involved in a cult. And so to come out of that, and to be able to have this new relationship and this new way is just fabulous. I just really enjoy learning and just seeing what is out there, and what more, how to interchange things with them, there's it's infinite, it really it really is infinite, but like I say, if you're nervous, I've had friends and family and clients call in particular, there's 4 angels that stand out each direction marks, so east, west, north, south. And so calling upon them to put them in your house if you need protection, around your bed, or your child when they sleep at night is another way. So, I mean, there's different prayers that you can do to say, to have them there, even talking to your guardian angel every day. There's a prayer you can say, every day to have him there with you. And eventually you can even learn their names. And, there's so many different things that we can do to really connect with them in simple things. It doesn't have to be, like what I do, for everybody. But I mean, you'll notice you'll get pennies, dimes, or nickels. That's another message from them. Your favorite song, feathers all over the place, butterflies, dragonflies. There's different ways that they show you, hey, we're here with you. We got you. Don't worry, and when I see those, I'm just like, okay, thank you.
That's awesome. Do you have like a story, like a favorite story about like a really cool divine intervention where it's like, oh my gosh, yes, the angels are here. They've got me like, do you have I'm sure you do.
Yeah. Yes, definitely a few, I mean, there was a few times when there was a house we lived in. We were having some troubles in that house. And I had called upon the 4 pillars, which is Archangel Michael, Archangel Gabriel, and Archangel Uriel, and Archangel Raphael. And I called them in to stand at the 4 pillars because the energy is just, I don't normally see things, but I feel energy. And the energy was very, very heavy. And it was like, okay, this isn't right. But to call them in, and you can instantly feel just this like, just net go over you of just, light. And it was just like, I could feel myself relax. And I was like, okay, I'm okay. Like, this is okay. And it was just to feel that comfort, knowing it was them, was just like a whole nother level for me. Because when we grow up, we're always just afraid, the dark and things like that. But as an adult, you're like, I can't be afraid of the dark. I'm an adult.
Right. We still get afraid though.
Right. But there's certain times, but calling upon them and just feeling their presence come in is just awe-inspiring. It's just like, okay, like I am okay. I'm not alone. but there's been different times, even when I've done healing sessions, I've had, calling in them people, calling in archangels, Michael, because I've had him protect me when I've been interacting with certain things on a client and it not liking what I'm doing. And I can feel, and just calling upon him to use his sword and his shield to protect me. And you can feel the energy get mad because they're like, "Wait, don't do that," and it's like, too bad.
Yeah.
He's here. You're gone. Goodbye.
That's so interesting.
Yeah. So you could really utilize them anytime. And like I said, I've almost been in like a car accident. I had a friend who he had a couple angels that were with him all the time. Nothing ever would happen to him. Don't know how he got, he got away with it because he had some big angels with him. Yeah. And we were almost in a car accident, but we both saw the car go to stop and literally shift. And he was like, "Did you see that?" I go, "Yeah." I'm all, "Because of your angels." I'm like, "I'm all, your car, you're driving." So I've seen different things, and you can see them in the clouds. Like my kids' great grandma passed away last year, and it was the most beautiful thing to see because they all set off doves for her, right?
Aww.
Well, the doves actually went out and came back, and in the picture, you can see all the clouds that were around us, but they look like little angels welcoming her to come home. And it was the most, oh my God, it was the most beautiful thing I had ever seen. And not many people had recognized it. And so when I saw the picture that my daughter had taken, I was like, do you see all those wings? And you can see them. So you could be driving down the road and you'll look up and you're like, whoa, oh, okay, yeah. All right, cool. Thank you. So there's different things. Yeah. It's amazing when you start recognizing it and seeing it, what really are the possibilities,
Yeah. I feel like coincidences have been a big sign for me that they're here. And it was shortly after our session and you informed me of angels and kind of enlightened me on all that. And I started working a little bit more intentionally. Like I'd write to them in my journal or just spend a little extra time thinking, hey, I could use a little help with this, or, I got this going on. Can you help out with that? And it was really interesting how this, one of my most recent experiences with calling upon the angels and like getting a response was, oh gosh, I guess it was a few months ago. I just felt like I kind of wanted a little bit more direction. Like, where do I really want to go with my life coaching career? I know we talked earlier about how I'm kind of wanting to get away from the one-on-one work and work with groups. And so it's like I just called out there like, hey, lead me in a direction. And it wasn't like a day later that a friend of mine who's also a life coach got in touch with me and said, hey, so about that book that you wrote, you basically took like a trauma that you went through and transformed it into a fiction novel, right? And I was like, yeah, that's pretty much what I did. And she's like, well, I do a lot of work with creative people and I've got a handful of aspiring authors who would like to do what you did, like take a trauma or a challenge or a tragedy and turn it into like a fiction novel as like a form of therapy. How do you feel about teaching a workshop? And I was like, I've never taught a workshop before, but yeah, I feel like I have to say yes to this because this is exactly an answer to like what I was wanting to do. So I'm like, okay, well, I said, give me some time to figure out like how I want to calibrate this because I've never taught a workshop before. And I don't even really know how I wrote the Transcendent, my novel. So I was like, let me kind of brainstorm this a little bit. Yeah. Well, I brainstormed and then all of a sudden it was like download after download. And I'm like furiously typing and I'm like, I'm constantly like thinking up like, like and gratitude was another big one. Like I continually thanked them every time I kept receiving what I felt like was an answer to exactly what I was asking for. Yes, and then I felt like I should post this on Instagram. I don't know why. I just, keep up with interaction with my people. And I posted on Instagram that I have this going on. And just after that, another friend reached out and said, hey, I'm an author coach. How would you feel about writing a nonfiction book that'll be a companion guide to your workshop on how to transform a trauma into a fiction novel in a creative yet also cathartic way? And I was like, okay, let's do it. So I'm writing another book now. And it was all like this sequence of divine intervention that was just like, Oh my gosh, they
Because when
completely
you let
stepped
it
in.
flow,
Yes.
it just like you said, it's a download, it just keeps coming, and you're like, but the real thing is too, is the respect of thank you,
Yes.
recognize them and showing them respect by just a simple thank you, you know, just
Yeah.
that they helped us do these certain things, you know, it's just, it's
Yeah.
amazing. Yeah. I
So amazing. Yeah. And that gratitude really, I think, perpetuates it, because every time I spend time focusing on gratitude and all those good things coming into my life, it's like there is
yes.
no room for fear. There's no room for concern. It
No.
just, and then it seems like things just keep rolling in and all the good things keep flowing.
Yeah, I mean, there's always, I even use YouTube in my house, like I'll put it on my TV and they
Mhm.
have angel healings on there, just the
Oh,
music.
yeah.
So you could set it on as you're like cleaning or doing stuff, just it's like purifying the room. It's just bringing
Yes.
it in and cleaning it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I've done that
there's,
before, actually. I put on some angel healing music and I saged my house while my boys were with their dad. And it was really interesting because when they came back to my house, they were in like these weirdly good moods, like real friendly with each other. I mean, they're like 7 and 10 years old. They fight a
yeah,
lot.
yeah.
No, there was like no fighting. They were really like kind and considerate and lovey with me and no arguing. And I'm like, I
There's
want
a
to do this
thing
more
here.
often.
No, but
Yeah.
because when you invite them into your space more often, it really does change certain things. You know, I mean, there are particular crystals that I have, you know, and that I utilize to have with them. You know, like selenite is one of their angel auras, and I mean, I have
Hmm.
beautiful crystals that I have that it's like, oh, I need you today. You know,
Yeah.
like,
This is
you know,
actually one. Actually, I think this is Angelite.
is it?
Now that I
Yeah,
think
and
about it,
I love
I
angel.
yeah,
Yeah,
it is. That is what it is.
yeah.
Oh my gosh, I love
It's
it. I feel like every time I wear this, I wind up having some sort of like, I don't know, divine thoughts
it
come into my head. Like,
it
did I come up
does.
with that? Where did that come from?
Yeah, no, it does. And selenite is the same way. You know, you just it's the divine energy that comes through that. And
Yeah.
so when you utilize those different ones, and even with the different archangels, and use their particular one, it does change things. I mean,
Hmm.
it's just wear some sodalite if you want to feel protected by Archangel Michael.
Oh, I love that.
There's just different things that you can do in your day to day to be able to bring them more into your life by than just calling upon them. You can really interact with their beings
Yeah,
more.
I love that. So in your practice, you do Reiki and angel readings and healing. So I guess let's kind of dive into both of those. I'd love to
Okay.
hear what, I mean, I've personally gotten to experience an angel reading by you before, but go ahead and, if you don't mind, describe what that's like. Like if a person wanted to book an angel reading or an angel healing with you, what would their experience be?
So with angel readings, I have a few different oracle cards, and I kind of just before we have a session. I always, like I had told you, like kind of go through them and see what's calling to me at that time, what the angels are kind of pointing me to, and then from there it's basically just seeing what you're looking for. Let's figure out what are you trying to receive out of this, and then we'll just kind of lay down the cards and see what messages they have for you. And sometimes it turns to, oh, hold on, let's add another deck. Let's see what else this is having. And it
Cool.
can be a lot of confirmation, a lot of different things. And then after that, I like to actually just send pictures so that everybody can go home and just sit with themselves, because it's a lot of information that comes to us.
Yeah, I definitely did that. I got the pictures of the cards you did for me, and I really spent some time sitting with that and looking them up on Google. And
Yeah, exactly. Because there's just certain times that it just that's a lot of info. And sometimes they can be really deep, sessions. So I want somebody to be able to, look back and really sit with their thoughts, and did it really speak to them the way they wanted to.
yeah.
So yeah, so I enjoy doing those, and I do them, either in person or like this, like on Zoom, or any type of, FaceTime, anything like that, because we're still kind of locked down in some ways, and other
Yeah.
people are in other states, so there's no limit.
Yeah, I found that too. And a question I get asked by a lot of people too is like, how do you do an energy healing or any kind of energy work from a distance? And I've got my ways of answering that, but how do you answer that question?
So for me well, if I'm doing Reiki, because Reiki, there's actually a distance, if you're like a level 2 Reiki, you're actually able to do distance healing. So for me, it's, I set up my sessions at home as if kind of like you're in front of me. Some people could use a bear, or, they just use their hands, or like chakras, blanket kind of thing, just however that works for that Reiki practitioner. Everybody is different. So for me, I just kind of set up the session as if you're in front of me. And then I just have you kind of just, okay, this is when we're going to do it. I want you to just kind of sit and relax and just, and sometimes people have heard music that I'm playing, it's different ways that hit people different times, no one session is the same.
Yeah.
So for me, it really is, it doesn't feel that difficult to connect because I'm able to do that. And there's certain ways that we're able to do that for other people. And same with angel healings. I mean, angels are in multitudes. They can be, it's not one place at one time. So me sending them to you as we do a session, is pretty much the same as if doing Reiki. There's no, it doesn't even, when people are like, that's not possible. Yes, it is.
Yeah. And I've experienced it firsthand. And yeah, I mean, energy knows no time or space barriers. There's no barrier to time, space, or distance when it comes to energy. We're all connected. It's similar to how, you could be thinking of a friend you haven't talked to or seen in ages who could be like halfway across the country, and they happen to reach out to you that very day. That's the energy connection, like a perfect example of it.
Exactly. And with Reiki, I used to be part of a distance healing network, but I had left it to go to school, because I wanted to make sure we're getting, but this network actually works around the world, and it works with animals and people. So we work on different cases to help people, and it's for free. Anybody can put in a request to be able to, have somebody worked on through Reiki. So we've done with animals all over the world, and with people. I've had, clients all over the world. So to be able to do that and work and see cases, come like healings or animals, a lot of times with the animals, it was missing animals. So to be able to see that they've been found in crazy places, and it's just, so it definitely, like you said, energy is energy. And to me, I always say Reiki flows where it's going to want to go. So no boundaries, none at all.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. That's really awesome. Let's see. I noticed you had mentioned too that you're in the process of writing a book. Is that something you'd like to talk about? Because I'm really curious about being a writer. I'm like, let's talk about that.
So what I also, I've done my whole life for myself, and it's been a journey for myself too, is I like to help people clear the stagnant energy out of their home through releasing and organizing. And so this book that I'm trying to put together, and I've thought about reaching out to you a couple of times too, because it's not easy. It's in here, but to get it out here.
I know a person. There's a great author coach I can recommend to you.
Exactly. So with this book has 3 different ways to be able to utilize yourself. Is I really like people to either, not everybody can release things. It's very difficult for them. So this is baby steps for whoever it is. People sometimes see books like this and they're like, you're a minimalist. And it's like, no. No. I'm more of like the essentials. I don't like to have things that I don't utilize all the time in my life, because it bogs down, it keeps things heavy. So I like to teach people, so sometimes we'll start with your bedroom. Let's clear your nightstand, because that's where your space of your head is sleeping all night long. You need to clear that energy, and then let's move out from underneath your bed. Let's clear that all out. I actually have you try on all of your clothes, everything. Because if you're not looking in that mirror and saying, yeah, I like it, it's great, even if it's comfy clothes, you want to like it because you want to feel good. You want to walk in that closet every day and say, no matter what I pick, I'm going to be happy. And I'm going to like it for myself, nobody else.
Yeah.
So it's basically, I call it no what ifs. There's no what ifs. There's right now. So let's work on clearing that stagnant energy and helping yourself to be free, to release yourself, so that you're not, the things around you in your car, your workspace, your home aren't keeping you from being free.
Oh, I love
And,
that.
so that's kind of where I'm wanting it to go. And it's getting
Yeah.
there, but it's a slow
It's
process
it's
sometimes.
a lot of work. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
But I love that concept because it's so true. And I know there's so many people that get caught up in the materialistic aspect of life and the
Yeah.
physical. And it's like, oh, if you just transcend the physical, life is so much more free.
Yes.
Life is not about how big our house is or how fancy our car is or how much money's in
No.
our bank account. It's
Yeah.
yeah, it's about our connections and our relationship and
It
our
is.
contribution to the world and our joy that we find in living.
Truly, it really, really is, because it's just, and people assume that I don't have things. I have things. I love my crystals. I love,
Yeah.
but everything I really have, I utilize. It's
Hmm.
essential. It's things that, aren't going to go sit in a storage, because you don't need a storage. You really don't. You know what I mean? It's, the only thing I never touch is memorabilia, because that's for you to deal with,
Yeah.
The only thing I
Right.
always say, like, if you have photographs that are duplicates and you've got family from back in the day, give it to them and keep your own set. But that's about all, because
Yeah.
people get really upset. I even have girlfriends like, oh, and it's like, don't worry, it's not gonna hurt.
Yeah.
Like, let's do this. Let's free ourselves, because society has told us we have to have all of this or that.
Yeah.
When what do you need? What do
Yeah.
you need for your family and your life? Let's clear that space so that the energy is flowing. Open those windows, get that music going.
Yeah.
Let's fun in life and free ourselves.
Yes. I
So it's
love
not
that. Like,
before.
too many, that's another problem too. Like, too many people compare themselves to other people. Like, oh, the Joneses have a big fancy house. I should have a big
Yes.
fancy house. Or the Smiths have that car and they seem happy. I need that car so I can be happy. And like you said, like, what works for you? What do you need? What are your
Yeah,
essentials? And get back in touch with what's right for you. It's so
exactly.
important.
Totally. I completely agree with you. That's why I'm just like, I really want to get this book out, because I think, this book you can read every chapter is a room, but
Hmm.
also that there's a checklist to go back to just refresh. Because there's times when I'll go through everything about every 90 days, be like, does that, and I'll just kind of check things out with myself. But
Yeah.
sometimes, when you first start, it's every year. Take an account. Do you need that anymore? Do you want that? Did you really use it?
Hmm.
Is that kind of thing. And then the other way is just reading the whole book through all at once and just really.
Yeah. Dive in.
So we'll see. But other than that, yeah, I really enjoy doing that. And I want to see people free and just
Yeah.
live, and
Oh,
heal themselves in that way. And just, yeah, it's that time. It's where we're going.
yes, absolutely. I share that exact same passion. Like, I want to see people free themselves as well. And
Yeah.
yeah, I love, like, there's so many different ways to set yourself free. Like, you working with stuff and the physical
Mhm.
realm, like, releasing that hold that the physical world has on you, but also
Yes.
too, like, there's so much hold that the emotional realm has on
Yeah,
you, and
exactly.
everything that you've got buried inside from your entire past. And there's so much freedom
Exactly.
to be had in being able to let that all go and just be.
Yes, it's true. I mean, because there's so much to explore out there.
Yeah,
We need to,
there is. There's a
but
life to live.
yeah, but even to have our moments where we just sit down with our kids or our loved ones and just have a dinner or watch a movie and not have to think, oh, I've got to do this. Oh, I've got to clean that. Oh, I've got to do this.
Hmm.
There's, we got to stop doing that to ourselves. You know what I mean? It just doesn't necessary. We gotta
Yeah.
love ourselves.
Yes, we gotta love ourselves. We gotta love life.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, I love it. And I'm thinking too, like, segueing back to our angel conversation, like, what a great thing to tune into our angels for, to ask for a little bit
Yes.
extra help and guidance in that area. Oh,
Exactly. It's exactly right. I mean, that's the thing is like when you come back to that thing, it's when you're trying to release something and you just can't let it go and you lean upon them and just say, angels above, please just help me through this moment. Help me to just make sure I'm on the right path, and then just kind of sit back. It's kind of like they say when we pray, we're talking to them, right? Or
hmm.
talking to God, spirit. But then when we sit and we meditate, that's our time to listen, to
Mm,
hear what message comes through.
yeah.
So we can start to learn to do those two things. Like you've learned, you've seen it flows. It's like,
Yeah.
whoa.
Absolutely. And yeah, that's really good advice too, for somebody who's not familiar with working with the angels. It is just simply like a conversation. And yeah, that's how I've like, if I'm journaling, I write to them like I'm writing a letter to a friend. Or, I mean, sometimes I come off completely goofy and I'm talking to myself, it looks like, but really I'm talking to them.
All the time. It's the best conversation because nobody really talked back yet. They just show me. Like,
yeah, exactly. Like I know that they're communicating with me, but
yes, but it's so gentle. And that's the thing too, is that when you know, angels or spirit or even your guides are speaking with you, it's gentle. Remember, it's always gentle. If it's harsh and it's firm, you know, that's our ego.
Yeah.
Because she's freaking out, like, oh, what are you doing? You know?
Yeah, right.
Like, calm it down. The universe has got us. We're okay. They're coming in to kind of reinforcements, you know?
Yeah, I think that's really good to keep in mind because that ego can definitely get out of control.
I mean, you know, I always try to remind mine that you pay the bills, you get me to work on time, you get my meetings on time. So you do your job. The rest, we got it. We're safe. We're good.
I love that. Because like I feel like the ego kind of gets a bad rep a lot. Like the ego's not a bad thing, but it can cause some problems if it's not in check. But it's necessary. It keeps us safe in this human life that we have to live, you know, like getting to work on time and paying the bills and, you know, interacting in society.
Exactly. Because that's the thing. It's like when you hear from your guides or angels or spirit, it's gentle and there's no, well, I don't know. That's ego.
Yeah.
Angels aren't going to do that. It's very straightforward. It's very sometimes even a quick answer. And sometimes it sounds like it's your own voice in your head, but that's normal. It's not. It's how they're communicating through you. You know what I mean? So even like ear ringing, like I get that a lot, ear ringing.
Yeah, that's been coming up a lot for quite a few people I know have been mentioning like ringing in the ears, and I've been getting ringing in the ears too lately. Like,
yeah, so it's kind of like they're raising your vibration to bring you up so you can hear them. And so when that happens, I'm like, okay, thank you. And I kind of sit sometimes and be like, is something coming now or is it for later? You know, so yeah, that's a constant. I'm like, whoa, hold on a second. Oh, we're done. Okay, good. Because it comes out of nowhere. You're like, whoa.
yeah, it has. Like, that's what I've experienced a couple times that I've had it too. It's like, oh, my ears are ringing. Like, what do you got? I'm listening. It's kind of exciting.
Exactly. So yeah, so that's where that comes from. But it's very normal. But just, I always want people to know that, you know, angels and spirit and guides, they don't hem-haw the thought process. They're not indecisive. It's very straightforward, you know, in their messages and stuff. So ego is the one who's like very unsure. Yeah. So just have to check ourselves for where is that coming from, you know? Yeah. And it's normally fear, and we like control most of the time.
Yeah. I was just going to say, actually, I was going to use this exact same word. Somebody's got us very connected. Fear and control. That's where the ego is. It's afraid and it's trying to keep control over things. And honestly, too, I think that's where the ego kind of steps in and starts interfering with free will, which takes us off of a higher path or a higher road. Because that ego wants to be in control. That ego is afraid of losing control, wants to have that safety and security, and needs everybody and everything to be in its place in order to have that.
Exactly. And she works well in chaos. You know, she finds comfort in chaos, you know, because she can sometimes, for people who have had trauma in their life, they feel comfortable in that chaos and think being happy is actually harder. Yeah, it's become too normal to them to live amidst that chaos, but having that normal is kind of like their security blanket. Like maybe like it's chaotic and uncomfortable and but it's normal. So this is home to me. Exactly. And so that's why for me, you know, I've had trauma in my life too, but having them in my life has really opened up where it makes me check in with, you know, spirit and ego more often than I ever have before. So I can double check what's going on, you know,
who's talking,
where's it coming from, you know? So it's just everybody learning which is which, you know, sometimes one comes from one side, sometimes one comes from the front, you know? So it just depends.
And I've actually found too that like we were talking about having a conversation with the angels, there's times where I'll have a conversation with my ego. like like a recent incident where there was like a big misunderstanding and I never got an opportunity to share my side of the story. And I was like, my ego was like, oh my gosh, call all their friends, call them up and tell them how it really happened. Call this person, call that person. And I was like, hey, ego, is this really going to do any good? Is this going to change the situation? Is it going to make things better? Or are you just going to keep making a mess?
It's true. It's total. I mean, I literally had something similar that happened the other day and I was like, did I share too much?
Yeah.
No, you know, and then ego's
yeah,
like,
you start thinking about it like,
oh. He's like, yeah, you did it again. Okay. Like you just let it all out. And I'm like, oh, I need to say something. And it's like, no, I don't. You know, it is what it was. There's no changing it. I don't have to prove myself to anybody.
Yeah.
You know, it just, we're so like locked into this, how we have to be looked at, you know, that it's, everybody needs to just kind of like detach a little bit, not put so many expectations on things, you know, and just let things be and take it easy.
Yeah. And that's what that ego does too. It puts all the expectations on things because and the ego is here to keep us safe. So if the ego wants to just jump to conclusions, you know, back in prehistoric times, they'd be like, hey, there might be a lion in the bush, watch out. And now like our lions in the bushes are just us jumping to conclusions about things that may not even happen. And so just detach and chill. Stop overthinking things.
Exactly. And there's times when I deal with anxiety sometimes. And when I feel nervous, I'm like, all right, angels, I really need you today. I just need you to just calm me down. I'm a little bit up here and I need to come back to the grounding and, you know, and that's when sometimes I'll just really will have that conversation, like you said, and just talk to them, meditate with them, call upon particular ones, whatever the situation may be happening. And for myself, I'll even sometimes do a reading, you know, just a quick card, like, okay, where am I at? Oh, that was what I needed. Thank you. Okay, we're good. You know? So really, like you said, it really is just having that conversation with them and don't be afraid to have that conversation with them. It's not, they can't, there's no, you know, ill will, there's no harm that they bring that some people think that they can, but that's not their energy.
Yeah, I know. I never really understood that. I discovered, by divine intervention or coincidence or whatever you can call it, shortly after I met you, I discovered Aaron Abke on YouTube. I don't know if you've ever heard of him or not, but
maybe I always do better with faces than names. Always.
Yeah. He's very attractive. So you're too good with that face. No, he's like, he's fun to watch. But no, his information is so fascinating. And I stumbled upon, I just love how coincidences happen. But I fell upon the playlist he has breaking down the Law of One. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but it's the channelings of Ra. Not necessarily the Egyptian sun god kind of. I mean, there's a lot of information there as to what Ra is. It's such a rabbit hole. It's a fun rabbit hole.
So interesting, coincidental. Every time I'm on a certain social media app, there's a guy that keeps coming up with that. He talks about that book and all the different levels of it and what's happening around. And I'm like, okay, well, there's something going on there because now you brought it up.
You might want to go check it out actually, because I think it's like episode 3 or 4 or 5 or somewhere around that point in his, because he breaks it down in like episodes. The first one kind of is like the introduction, like who is Ra, what is the Law of One, and then it gets into angels and demons. And I love how he explains it. It's very like it's easy to digest, I feel like. And angels are basically, well, like backing up, there's basically, we're in a polarized universe, and we can see that all around us with, you know, the right versus left, and the red versus blue, and the black versus white, and the religion versus non-religion. You know, you're seeing the polarities all over the place.
Definitely.
And it kind of goes hand in hand. And we were talking about Hermeticism too, the law of correspondence, and I think there is like some kind of a law of polarity or something, maybe, or I could have that totally wrong.
There is. That's one of the 7 principles, actually.
Okay,
polarity. So right on.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's basically like we are one, and that's what the Law of One is. It's like, okay, so we have these extremes, like there's hot and there's cold, but those are just 2 different poles of temperature. and there's bright and there's dim or dark. Those are just two different elements or extremes of light. And you know, and there's tall versus small or short, or you know, there's different extremes of those are just a measurement.
It's almost like A equals A, basically. You know, there's no difference between it. A equals A. I mean, it just is that.
Yeah, you know, like left and right are just two arms of the same being. You know, back and front are the two sides of the same coin. So the law of one is basically like, so yeah, we're in there's the positive polarity and there's the negative polarity in our universe or in our reality. And choosing the path of positive polarity is basically just not interfering with free will, honoring your own free will and honoring others' free will and not trying to interfere with it. And angels are basically beings that are on a path to positive polarity, which is why they will not interfere with our free will, because they want to keep that positive charge. They want to keep that positive path. And then demons are basically beings that are trying to interfere with our free will. And I honestly know a lot of people like that too. I know like narcissism is a buzzword right now. I think everybody can name a narcissist in their life. And it's like, that's basically what they are. They're people who are trying to interfere with your free will. Like they're gaslighting you, they're manipulating you. It's like, that's just interference with free will. They're trying to take your choices away, making you like tricking you into thinking you still have a choice. And
been there. On that
oh yeah, I think we've all had to interact with a couple, and yeah, it's just a path of negative polarity. And I like how Erin explains it, though, that it's really hard to stay on a negatively polarized path. Like eventually it just gets so difficult to stay negatively polarized that you eventually have to just surrender and go to the light.
Yes. Well, it's like, you know, you meet those people who, you know, you try to help them and you give them suggestion after suggestion and they knock everything down.
Yeah.
And so my thing is when I come across anybody like that, I go, so you haven't hit your wall. And they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, you haven't hit your wall. Well, like my life is horrible. Not horrible enough. Change it yet.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm like, you let me know when you're ready and we'll move from there. But until then, you're not ready yet. And that's okay. Your life, your path. Yeah. That's why I was telling you, your life and your path. When you're ready, you'll decide. Until then, you just kind of have to live in the funk because it's part of your life lesson, you know?
Yes. I've been running into a lot of that too, where people, it's like, you haven't hit your rock bottom yet, or the wall, like you described it. But yeah, like I remember hitting rock bottom. I know the dark night of the soul. Like, I don't want to go back there, but I knew I didn't want to stay there. And it was crazy how I was like, I am going to do everything in my power. And there was like, I was unstoppable. And then like, I look back and I'm like, how did I do that? I think I had like 7 different therapists going on in my life at one time that I was balancing out, seeing, as well as raising a baby, as well as keeping up a business and going to work. And I look back on that time, I'm like, wow, somehow I didn't run myself into debt paying for all these therapists. Somehow I kept my business afloat, and somehow I rose up from this. Like I managed to have time for all of this. Like I came up out of the ashes from that. Like I did it.
Exactly.
Like, wow. Like when you hit that wall or when you hit that rock bottom, you're going to do anything and everything to get up out of it. And until then, you're just going to sit in it.
No, it's true. I mean, I was exactly like you. Like I was running a business from home. I was actually involved in my kids' life, like Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, PTA president. I did all of those things, you know, ran my household and was also going through a very difficult marriage, you know, at that time. And you look back and you're like, wow, I made that through that, you know, and people, you know, came out, I'm okay. Like, I'm okay.
Yeah.
It's like, but then also what, you know, I've learned over time, you know, this journey and stuff is that, you know, this was something I was supposed to go through. I'm trying to fix things, you know, because I don't want to come back and do it again.
That's exactly how I feel too. I'm like, I want to learn this lesson the first time around because I don't want to do it again. And I feel like, you know, you'll see people who keep getting pummeled by the same crap over and over and over. It's like they could get into a car accident, and as soon as they get their car fixed and their body healed from that accident, somebody's going to rear end them. And it's like, you know, that's just an example, but it's like the same thing keeps happening over and over and over. And it's like,
Yes.
yeah, the universe is really trying very hard to teach you a lesson. And it's none of this is going to go away
Yeah.
until you learn it.
No, it's, we've got to change our vibration because our vibration attracts, certain things, and you have to
Mm-hmm.
change that. So you're not constantly, like you said, doing it over and over.
Yeah.
Even people we have in our life, it's like, you don't have to have that person in your life. It's okay to say no.
Yeah. That's a hard one, especially if it's a family member. Like I've noticed that's the
Yes.
hardest. Like you didn't choose this person. Just because they have the same blood in their veins as you do, doesn't mean you have to keep them in your life.
Exactly. But it's hard because, our parents were only doing what they were taught, and then we were doing what we were taught,
Yeah.
and so like my kids are in their 20s, and I'm like, so unlearn what I taught you. Okay.
Yeah.
What worked for you? I'm gonna keep the morals, in the right path. I'm very blessed. My kids are awesome.
Yeah.
But, just don't have to do what everything society wants you to do. That was my bad. I was just learning what
I did that too. And I keep telling my kids that constantly, like, follow your happy, follow your heart,
Yes.
your dreams. Don't just do what I did. Don't just do what dad did. Don't just do what your next door neighbor did or everybody else in your class
Yes.
did. Do you.
Yes, exactly. Kind of like I used to tell my kids when they were looking for, their job life. And I'm like, what do you want to get out of bed to do? Because I don't have to get you out of bed. You have to get yourself out of bed.
Yeah,
What makes
exactly.
you happy to get out of bed? That's key, because it's hard to get out of bed sometimes.
Mm-hmm. It really is. Yeah. Yeah. And
Well, no
life
matter
shouldn't
what
be
we're
like that.
doing.
Absolutely.
But that's also too, like, to go back around to angels, when I wake up in the morning, that's the first thing that, there's a certain prayer, I say a couple different types of prayers in the morning, just to reconnect with spirit and just start my list of gratefulness, just that
Mm-hmm.
I'm awake,
Yeah.
and just see the beauty of the morning and stuff like that. But also waking up and just saying good morning. And sometimes too, if I've called them in at night, also releasing them. Thank you
Mm.
for being with me last night, because it was kind of a rough night. I was a
Yeah.
little on edge, so it really is just all day long intermingling with them in
Yeah.
our lives,
I
and seeing
love
what
it.
happens to you.
Yeah, definitely. I had another question too. We talk about angels and we also talk about spirit guides, and I've
Mm-hmm.
come to learn that there is a difference between the two. So how would you
Yeah.
describe that, the difference?
So spirit guides are, so angels have never been a human, never been on earth, except for the minus of, they say, maybe Metatron and one other one that's slipping my mind at the moment. Other than that, an angel has never been a human-based being. Our spirit guides have been human before. And that's why they know that they can, we've signed a contract with them, and they basically just kind of sit there waiting for us to remember that they're there, which is
Yeah.
really sad for them, but they're patient with us and
I guess
watching
they knew
every,
that they
like,
were going to sign up for that.
right. Exactly. And so there's different, spirit guides, and have come in and out of my life. Some are just there for those moments because that's what we agreed upon,
Hmm.
and there's teacher ones, there's, just helper ones. There's so many different guides that you would sign contracts with to be able to have them in your life and utilize them. And they're similar to angels of just calling upon them, but they work a little bit differently. Just because I called upon them doesn't mean it's going to happen right away.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're trying to help you learn that lesson a little
Right.
bit. So yeah, and there's different meditations out there to be able to really connect with them. And
Hmm.
I know mine pretty well. I know them by name. And when we get names and stuff, they do that more for ourselves, because
Yeah.
this human form likes names and different
Right.
things, so they don't necessarily, but sometimes it's, it was a love that you had in your life that came back with you. But our
Mm.
spirit guides have been earthbound before, but
Yeah.
never an angel. An angel is not earthbound.
Yeah, that's what I've understood to be true as well. And another thing I heard, I think a psychic that I follow on YouTube also, I think, she said that our spirit guides actually do have their own egos too. Like they're not done with their karmic cycles and what they need to learn. So in signing up to be a guide for us, they're also continuing to learn and evolve as well. So they're not always perfect,
Yeah,
And I like,
exactly.
yeah, because like she said too that, you know, sometimes their advice may be coming a little bit from ego. So do you find
I
that to be
totally agree
true?
with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree with that because like I said, sometimes it's like, we'll be like, are you there? I need you, da, 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 and sometimes it's on their own time. Sometimes when you
Hmm.
want it too much, they back up a little bit. And you're
Yeah.
like, come on, I'm like, I'm having a hard
Right.
time. It's like we're supposed
Or
to do
too,
something.
yeah, I could see it being a little like it could be a problem too if you rely almost too heavily on them. It almost kind of like
Yeah,
detaches you from your own intuition. And I could see how that could wind up being a problem. Because really, this is
exactly.
our journey, not theirs. They're just here to help.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they sometimes people describe it as, you're at a table and you're meeting with, different family members and different things that we have up in these communal areas, they say, in heaven per se, or wherever,
Yeah.
dimension it may be. But, that we sat down and agreed that this is what we need to work on. This is what we need to do. But then it's upon us to remember.
Yeah.
And that's what we're spending most of our time is trying to remember, what did we do, when we don't realize that sometimes we are remembering because we're dealing with those things already
Yeah.
constantly.
Yeah. No kidding.
But that's why
That's
I
what we're
feel
here
like,
for.
yeah, right. But that's why I like to talk about it more so people are more aware of it, because a lot of us don't know that what's going
Yeah.
on, or they're afraid of it, they're unsure, and they feel like it's gonna, encroach on their lives when they're not allowed to do that. Even so, the similarity between guide and angels is our free will.
Hmm.
Our guides aren't allowed to, until we call upon them, they're not allowed to interchange with us.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing. No matter what, we all have free will. And how you want to take this life is how you want to take it. Whether you want to utilize the help or not, it's your life, your path. You can choose
Yes.
it. So yeah, pretty much.
Ah, I love that. Oh, it's so true. So true. And I really hope that our listeners take that away with them. Like, pay attention to your free
Yeah.
will, honor your
Yeah,
free will, and pay attention to when you might be trying to encroach on others' free will, because that's not
exactly.
what we're supposed to do.
No, and that's why sometimes it's hard to watch the train wrecks, but you're like, as my mentor taught me that their life, their path, just remember that. And I'm like, okay, I really want
Yeah.
to help, but sometimes it's not our being to do
Oh,
that.
I know. And it is hard, especially when it's somebody you care about and it's like, here comes the train wreck, but you're not going to listen to me. So,
Yeah, especially my kids, I'm like, okay, okay, I'm gonna watch. So I'm here for you, but I'm gonna watch.
yeah, gosh, that's got to be hard. I mean,
Yeah,
mine are still little yet, but man, once they're driving and independent and off on their own, I can only imagine watching them make questionable
it,
choices. It's going to be
it
really
is
hard.
hard. It is hard, and I've been trying to learn detachment, but I always thought of that as a negative word, but
Mm,
I'm learning that it's more of a positive because it's like for me, if I'm thinking about somebody and you get that control, oh my gosh, are they okay? Da, 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 especially our children.
yeah.
Because I was that helicopter mom. You're like, what are you doing? I will
It's
all
easy to
that
fall into
alcoholic.
that.
Yes. And so I will send my angels. Okay, angels, please be with, my son, help him to be home, keep him safe, and, things like that. So that takes it away from, that's all I can do. I
Yeah.
literally have no control other than that. And so, and I'm a nurturing Cancer. So that's hard for me to like, not, you
Yeah.
okay? You need something?
Uh,
So by able to send the angels to do what you would wish you could do is the better thing for yourself and for them, you
yeah.
know? So it's something to practice if you can. It's hard, but it turns out to be a more healthier thing to do than trying to control the situation when you can't.
Yeah, absolutely. And honestly, too, I feel like if you do, the more you try to control the situation, the more resistance you're pushing up against life. And the more
Yes,
resistance you push against life, life resists and pushes back against you. And that's just
exactly.
not fun.
No, we need to be free and do our stuff and just enjoy this world that we're here. We came down here to enjoy it. You
Yeah.
know, there's so much to do and explore and have fun with. And let's try to do that for each other too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and accept things as they come. I think, because I was thinking about how sometimes tragedies do happen. Sometimes the car
Yeah.
accident does happen. Sometimes the death happens that we feel
Yes.
was, too soon or out of line. But, you know, that's something I've really explored a lot too, since my trauma. You know, where's the line between fate and free will? You know, like some things seem like they're completely out of our control. And yet if we do have true free will, then can we prevent a tragedy from happening?
It's almost like I've read a few times and I've taken a couple classes on, you know, we came down here to have certain experiences. And even though they seem horrific experiences, people have to remember that as spiritual beings, we don't feel this. We don't know what these feelings are that we are as humans. They have no like true, like know what, you know, love or hate, or they're like, maybe I want to go experience what that is. And so sometimes, even though it's like I said, horrific, it might be something that they wanted to experience, whether sounds.
No, I totally agree. Actually, Neil Donald Walsh, he wrote his most famous book, I think, is Conversations with God, but he actually wrote some children's books, one of which is The Little Soul in the Sun. And I highly recommend it to adults because it really breaks down that concept of there's like two little souls, one of which has never experienced what light is. I don't know what light, like what actually is light. And the concept behind the story is you have to know the dark in order to really know the light. And they made their soul contracts with each other up in heaven, that this one soul and the other, the one said, I will do something to hurt you when we're in our life, so that way you can learn what forgiveness feels like. And the soul was like, oh, you do that for me? Thank you. And then you get down here and it's like, how could you?
That is exactly right. And, you know, and sometimes that's hard to say because there are things that are very horrific that have happened to people. But when you take it to that dimension, as he says, sometimes I think that's, you know, God forbid something was to happen to my children, but sometimes I don't have the control of it. It might
sometimes those things happen.
You know, so that's where I try to sit with and have peace with that. And some people I know would be like, oh my gosh, you're crazy. But I can't sit in angst all day long.
Well, that's just it. Yeah. Like you can either choose peace and get on with your life, or you can choose to worry over it and be stuck in that. And I choose peace any day.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the best I can do is just try to teach others that same thing, that it is possible, but when you're ready for it. It's kind of like, you know, as healers, we hold space more than anything for people, and only they can heal themselves the best way. You know, so by us holding space for them, we just let them walk in, and when they're ready, you know, that's why I like my analogy: hit the wall, I'll be ready for you. Come on.
Yes, absolutely. And like I've come to find that about the difference between fate and free will, that there are some things that are just contracted in, that we're supposed to experience that tragedy, we're supposed to experience that loss, we're supposed to experience that negative emotion, the feelings that we don't like so much, or we're supposed to hit that rock bottom. Where our free will comes into place, though, is what we choose to do in response to what fate threw at us. We have complete control over that.
Like you wrote your book. For me, I feel like as healers, we went through the things we went through so we could experience to help those come out of that darkness, because we came out of that darkness. So it's our job to help them as well, because, you know, like you said, you have to be in the dark to become out of the light, you know, it just is the way it is. And so by us being able to experience those things, we experience them for others, so we can have compassion and understanding and know the timing of certain things, you know, even when they can't see it. You know, so I totally agree.
Yep. Your free will is always present. And when things happen, you have complete control over how you respond to the situation. You can either rise up from it, or you can let it crash you down.
Exactly. And I think it's learning to have the tools, like calling the angels or your guides, or meditating, going for a walk, grounding into the earth, you know, having those tools and learning how to utilize them and show that it brings a healing to your body, you know, and different outlook.
Yes, absolutely. Oh, I love that. And and that's basically what we do. I mean, I know in my life coaching business, that's what I'm very passionate about, is helping people cultivate those tools so that they can pull themselves out of that darkness and shine their own inner light. And I'm sure, you offer
Yes.
that as well. Yeah.
Yeah,
In your
that's my
healing
favorite thing
practice.
to do. I just, come on, let's go. We got this, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. So are you taking clients then? Because I'm sure some of our listeners would probably be very interested in talking to you some more.
Yes, I'm taking clients, and you can contact me on Instagram. You can DM me through Instagram. So it's just Loving Healing Essentials.
Okay, well,
And just
that'll be linked
message,
at the bottom.
yeah, and just message you there, and we'll set up. And like I said, it's either in person or virtual. So same with, readings and stuff like that, angel healings, Reiki, whichever, you feel like maybe you need to have. And I'd be happy to help you.
Awesome. Yes. And I can highly recommend Linda for angel readings, especially because that's what I got to experience. And like I said, it was just this snowball effect of awesomeness after that.
Thank you. I love hearing that because it's like, yay.
Yeah, it's awesome. Oh, I love it. Is there anything else you would like to share, add, or anything comes to mind?
No, I think we covered so many wonderful topics. I'm just
We
like,
did.
I mean, I could talk about this for hours, of course, but
Oh, me too. Me too. Yeah, we definitely skimmed across a lot of my favorite topics for sure. But yeah, I could like go down those rabbit holes and never come out.
I love them. I love them. I love them.
Me too. All right. Well, I think then I've kind of wrapped up everything I'd like to say too. And yeah, this is so much fun. This is, yeah, probably one of my favorites.
Thank you so much. I absolutely love doing it.
Thank you. Yeah, this was great. I love talking about this stuff. I'd love to have you again and we can just keep exploring rabbit holes, but
yeah, love it. Definitely keep me in mind. I would love to do more rabbit holes with you.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. Well, thank you so much, Linda. This was so much fun.
You're
and
welcome.
Again, all of our contact information is linked at the bottom. So be sure and check us both out, and definitely call Linda if you'd like to get an angel reading, a Reiki healing, or just a chat about all this awesome stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah, I love it.
Awesome.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great night. And thanks for watching, everybody.